The US states of Minnesota and Illinois are suing the Trump administration in an attempt to stop the deployment of thousands of immigration agents to the state. The Minneapolis mayor, Jacob Frey, says the deployment of thousands of officers in his city is wildly disproportionate, and after the shooting of a 37-year-old woman last week, puts more people at risk. The Attorney General names officials within the Department of Homeland Security, including Secretary Kristi Noem and several other Trump administration officials. The lawsuit asks a US District Court to declare the surge of these officers unconstitutional and to prevent officers from arresting US citizens and visa holders without probable cause. Let's bring in our CBS News colleague Bradley Blackburn, who's following the story. Good to see you, Bradley. We are seeing on social media lots of pictures now of people trying to disrupt and interfere with the work of the federal agents, despite the obvious risk to them. What does it look like on the ground?
Well, Christian, it's an evolving situation day to day, and we know that the Department of Homeland Security is continuing to surge agents into Minneapolis at a volatile situation there. And now we have these lawsuits. These are separate lawsuits filed by state governments and cities like Minneapolis and St. Paul that are filing legal challenges against the federal government. But fundamentally here, what they're all trying to do is put limits on the way that immigration and customs enforcement agents can operate. Minnesota's trying to block this recent surge of agents, saying that it violates their sovereign authority to protect the health and well-being of citizens and residents. And the claim, as you said, is that this is a violation of the U.S. Constitution. So that's what the court will now have to answer.
At street level, it seems to be increasingly well organized. You see people blowing whistles and shouting and raising the alarm when agents arrive at a particular neighborhood. They want more protection from their own local law enforcement. How do Democrats respond to that?
Well, Democrats are advocating for some of these folks citing their free speech rights and really taking some being sharply critical of the way that ICE agents are implementing some of their activities and their law enforcement activities. And so that's what they're seeking to do with these court challenges. And we know that in Minnesota, officials said that they're seeking a restraining order that could, in theory, be in place as soon as today. But at this point, it's unclear whether that'll happen. And for its part, the Department of Homeland Security calls these lawsuits baseless and indicates that they're going to fight them. And the question, Christian, comes down to enforcement here. Often courtroom challenges move slowly, and we know that the federal government has pretty wide latitude over how it operates. And as I said, DHS has promised to send even more agents into Minnesota.
It seems to me that if the call is there for them to put law enforcement on the streets in opposition to federal agents, that could become quite explosive. Do you think the court case has been used as a half measure, if you will, to satisfy those calls?
Well, we have seen different local governments around the country try to challenge the Trump administration in the past. The details are different, but we saw this in terms of the way that cities like Los Angeles and also in Chicago challenged the deployment of National Guard troops last year. And some of those legal cases, they did find success in the courts. And in fact, the Trump administration then withdrew forces. But as I said, these cases take time to make their way through. And so whether it results in immediate change that people in communities want, it's not necessarily a given, Christian.
Yeah, it's a dangerous situation, isn't it? Bradley Blackburn, thank you very much indeed.